When previewing the HD Retrovision PS1 adapter last year, I asked for a little more time before declaring it the ultimate way to play PS1 software on official hardware. Having recently picked up a PS2 PS3 cable from HD Retrovision, what better excuse could we ask for to finally revisit that question? Part 1 matches the PlayStation against the PlayStation 2 for playing PS1 games. And Part 2 will pit HD Retrovision's PS2 PS3 component cable against a generic third-party cable. Since I know you didn't come here to stare at this ugly mug, let's get started. Back in 2000, Sony launched the PS2 with full backwards compatibility for original PlayStation games. For a lot of folks, this meant they could ditch their PS1 when they upgraded to the PS2. Do you really need to keep a PS1 in your setup when you have a fully compatible PlayStation 2? If the PS1 creates a better visual experience for games, that answer might be yes. But is there any real difference between the visuals produced by the two systems? Let's have a look. What you're seeing now is a series of PS1 games being played on an original console as well as a PS2. Out of the gate, it's going to be tough to spot any differences. Even when we zoom in on the grisly details, there isn't anything major that just jumps out at you. My biggest highlight is that the PS2 footage looks a tad bit darker here, but it may be ever so slightly cleaner. I don't know. Either way, you're definitely not losing out by choosing one console over another. It must be said that most of this footage is being taken from a 50,000 model PS2, which isn't known for having the sharpest component picture. For reference, here's a look at a PS2 Slim running the same menu screens as my 50,000 fat model. Let me know in the comments if you disagree, but I think these captures prove that if there's any visual difference between models, it's minimal. Now that we've seen what the PlayStation 2 can do against original PlayStation hardware, let's take a look at HD Retrovision's PS2 PS3 cable specifically. Up until now, I've been using a pair of cheap, generic component cables on my PS2. The picture they produce is a big step up from RCA cables. But I've always wondered if a nicer pair of component cables wouldn't clean up the somewhat soft picture a PS2 produces next to something like the Sega Dreamcast. These comparisons illustrate the fact that even with PS2 software, there's only so far you can get the mostly 480i output of the PlayStation 2. You're just not going to see the huge leaps we've seen with older consoles. To help illustrate the differences, we'll bring Symphony of the Night back out for comparison. Here are the HD Retrovision cables against the generic component offering. Again, we see that the HD Retrovision cables might produce a slight advantage over generic cables, but it's not going to be something revelatory. If anything, they just ensure that you're not creating unneeded interference in the rest of your setup. As I've said in the past, the biggest step you can take for your PlayStation consoles is away from composite. Any of the component options on the market are going to give you a clear advantage against the cables that came in the box. That being said, HD Retrovision produces some exceptional products. I'm patiently awaiting the day they release their Dreamcast cables so I can retire my VGA switch boxes from my setup. If you don't already have component cables for your PS2, I highly recommend their cable. Just don't expect a night and day difference if you already have a component solution for your PlayStation 2. Now that we've taken a look at HD Retrovision's PS2, PS3 component cables, what other products would you like to see featured on this channel? Let me know in the comments section below, and I'll see you all in the next Retro Tech Select.